We're changing it up today, Premier.
Well,
Right in the middle.
A bit ago, I forgot. Okay.
Working on your French. Based on your trip to visit with the folks at Michelin, do you feel comfortable and confident right now about their standing here in the province and their level of operations?
It was a good visit. I mean, I think it's good anytime you can go and look people in the eye. They're a great employer in this province. They've been here for over 50 years. They're really happy here with the workforce that's here. They're really happy with just their presence in the province. So it's a good thing. We're actually talking about additional opportunities. So it was a productive visit, and I know that the folks, the local team was happy that the Premier was there too, and I think that the team at their headquarters was pretty excited too.
This wasn't about trying to keep them here in spite of what's happening in the States. This was about trying to get.
It's just the second. I think it's the second time I've been over there, so it was obviously that's a discussion, but they're very happy with the quality of the product that the Nova Scotian workers. They like their workforce here. They like their position in the province, but it's a major employer, and it's important that the Premier goes and looks them in the eye and tells them we like them here too.
Close are they to a decision on a new investment? You know, all these things are always competitive within their company. Did you get a sense that there's something imminent?
Yeah, it's look that company invests a lot in research and development every single year. They invest a lot in their people, so it's just always good to be in front of them and talk to them. It was good. It was productive.
Have asks for you out of this?
No specific. No specific asks, really. I mean, just ongoing discussions. So I spent a couple of days with them, touring some of their facilities as well, some of the ideas they have over there, and it's good.
You say additional opportunities. What are they looking at, or what are you hoping for?
They make massive investments in research and development. They take, their tire production serious, but they're always looking at how they can grow as well. So it's ongoing discussion. Obviously, we made the investment in Neptune, the Neptune facility, for all kinds of uses for that. There's lots of exciting stuff happening around that, and I just want them to be aware of that as well as they're thinking about things. So it was a productive, really productive meetings.
Do you leave with any next steps, or what happens?
It's an ongoing discussion. Like I just want them to know that they can reach out to me anytime directly, and they have a great team here in Nova Scotia and North America, and we have great relations with them.
Someone to ask you about Wind West. It's an idea that you sort of pitched through a video. I guess it was just last week. Have you got a sense of how much it would cost, even at sort of that baseline amount of transmission capacity that you were talking about, something like 2.5 gigawatts?
It starts with a B. It's anywhere, it could be 8 billion, could be 4 billion. It would depend if it's overland, depend if it's subsea. Parts would be subsea where the Atlantic thing, but for us, for the Wind West, I think, an overland transmission line across New Brunswick into Hydro-Quebec or beyond to Ontario, I think, just order of magnitude, I would think that's a $5 to $6 billion project.
Atlantic Loop, I think you'd price as something like $9 billion, and it had much smaller capacity. Wouldn't this be bigger than that?
Different routes, different. There's the world is different, but the initial numbers we're looking at, it's in that 5 to 6 billion range, but it could be 10. Like we just it's a concept. It's a very powerful concept. So my objective initially was to capture the imagination of Nova Scotians, and I think Nova Scotians are pretty inspired by what's possible. That's a good thing. My objective was to capture the attention of the Prime Minister and Minister Hodgson and the federal government, and I think they're pretty interested in what's possible. This could change Nova Scotia, could change Atlantic Canada, and provide green renewable energy that the world is looking for. So we have a great opportunity here, and I think the federal government sees that.
Is it a better idea than an east-west pipeline?
They're not mutually exclusive. I mean, we have, when you look at the country, obviously there are parts of the country the pipeline is needed. For here, we might need a pipeline too. I'm in favor of a pipeline, 100%. But you know, I think it's not. We can't get to a situation of either or. I mean, the opportunity for Canada is so significant. You know, the Prime Minister talks about Canada being an energy superpower, and that is absolutely within our grasp. And it's really important. And I think, you know, Nova Scotians are understanding that, you know, we're the beneficiary of transfer payments. So somebody in Alberta is doing a project and putting money in the transfer payment pot, and we're the beneficiary of that. And that money goes towards hospitals, it goes towards doctors, it goes towards schools, it goes towards roads, it goes towards all kinds of things that are needed in this province. And you know, if that were to stop, it would have a big impact on our economy here. So will we have opportunities to also, you know, we could be we could get off of that transfer system. If we, over the next 20 years, if we pursued the opportunities that are available to us, we can do that safely and sustainably, and we just have to have those discussions. So,
How many turbines would go into a project like that?
I mean, if you're talking about at full build out over, you know, some period of time with the 60 gigawatts, it's in the hundreds for sure. But it's important. I think it's really important to note the reasons why we're having this discussion. We have the world's best wind speeds in our offshore, and just for order of magnitude, I mean, in the North Sea they would be like 9.1. In the offshore Nova Scotia, they're over 10, so it's over 10%. You know, faster than elsewhere. It blows a lot. Blows almost 60% of the time. That's a lot. In other areas, it'd be 35, 40%. The water depth is good, mostly 100 meters. The bottom seems to be pretty solid. And we're talking about an area that's generally 25 kilometers offshore. You know, so obviously, you talk about big projects. There are, you know, fishing industry would want to be part of that discussion. We want them to be part of that discussion. There'd be other groups that want to as well. But the potential is so significant, and the time is now for it.
Started
Minister's
talking about
response to your
offshore.
pitch.
It's okay.
What was the Prime Minister's response to your pitch?
He's pretty interested.
What exactly would you be looking for the federal government to provide?
First step, interest. Second step, you know, some talk about where does that transmission, what's the corridor, the energy corridor, where would the lines go? What does the approval process look for that? So some nod to, you know, the regulatory process, and ultimately some financial investment.
Answers for those questions?
From they're interested in the project. That's step one. You know, we'll have more detailed discussions about what the financing arrangements might look like, you know, and there's lots of opportunities for that. It could be, you know, backstop on loan, could be, you know, could be direct investment, could be whatever, but the price of the energy at the end of the day has to be competitive. So
Just talked about offshore wind. You were talking about it in terms of hydrogen exports. Is the fact you're talking about exporting wind energy to the rest of the country through transmission lines, does that show that are you trying to diversify, or are you concerned that
it shows
hydrogen
how
won't happen?
massive the opportunity is. So, you know, we could in the 5 initial wind areas that are being discussed, they could generate up to 66 gigawatts. But the wind doesn't blow all the time. You know, so it's not reliable 66, but it, you know, blows 60% of the time. So reliably, that would be 40 gigawatts. Nova Scotia's peak use right now is 2.4 gigawatts. So that will go up with certainty. That will go up. People just use more energy, cars, all that stuff. So that will go up. It will go up from other industrial uses too, as we, you know, get our industrial base to grow. That'll take more. I'm very interested in the data centers and AI. One data center could use a gig on their own, right? So the green hydrogen will use some, but I do believe that when your use goes up from 2.4 to whatever, you know, double it, triple it, quadruple it, there's still, and you're producing 40, there's still a lot left over that you need a market for.
Premier, how many,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna switch topics for a second. How many responses did the province receive to Minister Rushton's call for proposals on uranium exploration?
Yeah, so the uranium discussion is kind of, it's been a really interesting discussion, and I've been pretty happy that it's taking place. And I think, on the uranium discussion, and this will apply to other natural resource sectors too, but I think it's really important that we try to stick to facts on the discussions. And when I've been talking to people, and I've called a lot of people who you folks have been writing about, to talk about their concerns and what's possible. And in many cases, people really hadn't actually read what the request for proposal was. So when you look at it, I just printed it off. It's a short thing, but there's a number of ways you can explore for uranium, and a number of them are like no disturbance. Could be an airplane flying over. Could be somebody walking along picking up rocks, and some of them would be disturbance, like some mining. But what we're looking for is to see who was interested in doing some. It's just an early stage discussion. And I think it's really important that this wasn't, there was nobody who's, drills weren't going to turn tomorrow and, people's wells poisoned and stuff like that. We actually care about this province. We care about the people. So I think it's really important that we stick to the facts and we let the facts develop. Because what we have, we see the history of that in this province. That there'll be voices that don't want facts, and they prey on fear. And we've seen those too.
I'm sorry, sir, we've got limited time here. So how many responses has the government received?
Yeah. So I want to. It's really important to me. It's a really important discussion because the voices that push fear get a lot of the airtime. Right. So it's important that we let the other voices get a bit of airtime too. And I think, as we talk about natural resource development and sending a message that we are open, for business in that sense, we'll do things safely, we'll do them sustainably. We care about the health of people. We care about people's dogs. Somebody said, "You're going to kill my dog."
That number with you, sir?
Yeah, I do have it. I do have it. No, I think there's incredible interest in natural resource development in this province. In fact, in the first quarter.
If you want people to have the facts, how many companies have actually responded?
I'm going to answer the question. But I think, when we talk about these facts, we should talk about the full picture. So there's a lot of interest in natural resource development in this province. And I think the applications for various types of licenses across the spectrum we're up about 70% in the first quarter compared to last year. In the case of uranium specifically, there was no bids.
What does that tell you at this point anyway?
I don't read a lot into it. I think there's uranium potential in this province. It's got to be done safely. It's got to be done sustainably. It was kind of a quick initial request for feedback and for ideas. But it tells me in the broader picture, uranium's one thing, but it tells me in the broader picture that we have to do a better job of, helping Nova Scotians understand that, if you want a new rink and you want a new community center and you want a new road and you want more doctors, like it wouldn't be, there wouldn't be a day that goes by that I wouldn't get asked for any number of investments. But something has to pay for those. And, in our country right now, Alberta's getting tired of paying for them. The West is getting tired of paying for them. We have opportunities and we're expected nationally to pursue those. And as we have the discussion, we have lots of parts of this province, lots of municipal councils that understand that basic premise that they should go to facts. And we have others that, are not quite there yet. So there'll be a process. But the uranium bids, there was zero bids this time. That's okay. We're gonna move forward.
If the industry is not interested in those properties that you put up for bids, what can anyone do about that? It's not about convincing the public, is it?
we have at least 16 critical minerals in this province. We have incredible potential in wind. We have incredible potential in geothermal. We have all kinds of potential.
Project and perhaps in the works, I get all that, but for uranium, is this the end of the line for uranium?
Well, we're not gonna do it. If industry's got to do it, we need private money. But we'll see what it could be that the province needs to get some more information. Maybe the province does aerial surveillance. Maybe, I don't know. We haven't made those decisions. We're at the early stages of all this. So we put a request out there, and we didn't get any interest in that. That's okay. There's lots of things that
Were you
people are interested in.
surprised? Were you surprised by that? Do you
I
feel
didn't
maybe some of
have
the
a-
naysayers are causing no one to come forward?
No, I didn't have a strong reaction either way. I mean, we have the only thing that is 100% crystal clear to me is we need to grow our economy. We're 60 of 60. We have essentially the worst performing economy in North America. That's not okay. It's not sustainable. We have opportunities. Not all opportunities, will come to fruition. But I use the example of natural gas to somebody. We have 200 years worth of natural gas under our feet. 200 years. Does that mean we can access all 200 years worth? Well, no. You got to look at water table. You got to look at all kinds of factors. But does it mean that we can't get at any of it? It shouldn't mean that either, right? And there will be voices who want the zero part, but I think as the vast majority of Nova Scotians know that we have to do something different, and they want to do it safely and sustainably, and that's what I want to.
Before you go, I'd like to also ask you about Nova Scotia Power. Last week, Peter Gregg was before a committee, and he said that while he thinks insurance will cover the costs of their cybersecurity leak, he's not entirely sure, and he couldn't rule out the possibility of asking ratepayers, the victims of this, to pay for it.
The ratepayers should not pay for this. If Nova Scotia Power makes a move to try to get ratepayers to pay for it, we will oppose that very vehemently.
You have various ways to oppose something. You can appeal to the regulator, or you can also pass legislation. Is this just something that you would not allow to happen?
We're not going to let the ratepayers pay for this.
The status of the pulp mill. On March 20th, you wrote to both the Conservative and the Liberal leader with a wish list of if they became the Prime Minister. One of them was a loan through the Canada Infrastructure Bank for a new pulp mill in Liverpool. That was in your letter. Can you tell us at this stage what response you've received from the Prime Minister's office or the Canada Infrastructure Bank about that project?
I will tell you, I love the project. I hope there's a pulp mill in this province. It's really important for our forestry industry. We talk about natural resources. We have tons of potential in our forestry industry as well. So I think it's a great project. I haven't heard specifically from the Prime Minister on that, but I know that there are various people having various discussions to see what's possible. I think it's really important.
Like the Infrastructure Bank, have you asked, the province asked the CIB for
I haven't had discussions with them, but I know that there are discussions taking place. I just don't have a status. I believe that industry folks are talking to various financiers as well and stuff. But I think it's a great idea, and I hope it happens.
Just want to let everyone know we have time for one more question.
June 16th, meeting with the governors. Two questions. What do you plan on focusing on at that meeting? And I'll let you answer that, and then I'll.
I think it's relationships. I mean, the relationship, like the Atlantic premiers and the Southern governors and the New England governors, these are long-standing relationships and annual conferences, and there's a lot of they're really important relationships. Just like the relationship between Canada and the United States is very, very important. There's family ties, business ties, generations goes by. So I think this is just a relationship meeting, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll discuss all kinds of ways that we can kind of work together, but it's the relationships.
What can you do, or how can premiers and governors address the underlying problem of President Trump's tariffs and policies regarding visitors? Like what can you as premiers and governors
These are relationships, we'll tell them our position, they'll tell them, but that's a President of the United States level decision. That'll be the President's decision. It won't be one made by the premiers of Canada, certainly not by Atlantic Canada, but that doesn't mean we can't have, positive relationships with governors and Americans in general, and I think that's the goal.
Can I ask you a question about congestion? Bike lanes was a big story here in Halifax this week. I wanted to ask you about the bike lane situation. Did you agree with Mayor Fillmore? Do you think maybe they are too costly and leading to congestion in the city? Did council get their decision wrong not to pause that?
The traffic is brutal. Everyone can see that. I think the mayor, this was part of the mayor's campaign to deal with traffic. He won a pretty resounding result, I think. I actually think the mayor got more votes than a lot of those individual councillors got in their own area. But so, I think he's on the right topic for sure on traffic congestion. And I think the motion to say, can we have a discussion about the cost, about the location, that makes sense to me. Obviously, it didn't make sense to the majority of the council to have that discussion. That's for them to answer. But I think for myself and for the vast majority of taxpayers that I speak to, they kind of like it when government says, let's make sure we're on the right track here and let's understand the costs and stuff. So for some reason, the council decided no, and that they'll have to decide that. But I think the mayor was on the right track.
We do have to end it there, Jesse, sorry.
Idea, just to follow up. You have time. The council was saying, hey, if we saw this joint regional transportation plan, maybe we would, have a better informed decision on the bike lane network. When's that coming, Premier?